Everybody's favorite little Toyota truck. To be totally honest, I don't really know what everybody loves about these pickups. So these are just the basic specs of the first gen Tacoma right here. And this is what it looks like on the outside. So you notice this looks like this is supposed to be cut like a door. It is not. That doesn't open. There's just a window there backed by the jump seat. Just one door on each side. The bed length is actually about the same as first gen Tundra here, what you're looking at, about 75 inches. We go to the back, open up the shell. My brother has this really nice high-rise shell on his Tacoma. So this is what the bed looks like. It is not a tall bed at all. Very short, very shallow truck bed, shallower than the first gen Tundra. And even with this high-rise shell, you got a fair amount of room, but if it was just the bed, it's pretty short. I'm going to put down the tailgate here. You can see how short and how shallow the bed is visually here. And now on the engine, we've got the 3.4 liter 5VZ. This is the 6-cylinder engine and the 4Runner as well. Really reliable, just not super powerful, but will last a very long time. A very good engine. It's just a little small, and people used to modern pickups will notice that it's a slower engine, but very easy to maintain. Great engine. I really don't have any complaints about it other than that since it's small, it doesn't make a ton of power. So if you're going with the Tacoma, this is what you're stuck with. This is the biggest engine you can get in the first gen Tacoma, and that's what you're dealing with. Really nice, small, compact pickup though. I've had 2004 Runner, I've had a 2001 Tundra. I get to borrow my brother's 2001 Tacoma, and I don't get the appeal. I don't understand why this is the pickup that everybody wants when they think of an old Toyota vehicle that's reliable. The thing I'm not a fan of is just how cramped this whole seating setup feels. I feel closer to the door and I feel closer to the center console than I do in my Tundra. If I scoot the seat all the way back at 6'1", I have basically enough leg room. I can basically fully extend my leg. The steering wheel I can adjust so that my knees don't really hit it. I can set up the driver's cockpit so that it's basically comfortable. I don't like this center column setup. These cup holders, in my experience, don't really hold the type of drinks I usually have. And not having a bench row here, having the captain's seat instead is a loss because this center console is tiny compared to the one on my Tundra. The shift setup is fine for what it has to be. If they're going to put it down here, this is what it's going to look like. But you'll notice that having this here takes away what would have been cup holders here. So that's a change compartment. On a Tundra, that's a cup holder compartment. Air conditioning, that's totally fine. I like knobs. I'm old school, so this works. The stereo is aftermarket, but would initially be a double din, just like the Tundra. Overall, there's just not that much room. For something that's a two-seater truck, you know, a Tundra and a Tacoma look about the same size. You look at my 2001 Tundra, you measure it, back to front, side to side, it's about the same size as my Tacoma, but this interior feels much smaller. Only 2 seats, minimal amounts of storage everywhere. My interior feels cheaper. You'll notice they use a lot of this black plastic all around here. That's all throughout this side of the dash. Black plastic down here. This interior just doesn't feel as nice. The major bummer with buying a Toyota with this type of cab is the seating in the rear is a joke. These little jump seats with seat belts aren't really for people. It's way more for storage. You have to fold one of these seats forward just to get back here, because that door doesn't open. On any first gen Tundra, that door opens, or it's a double cab. Now, I understand that the Tacoma eventually came out with a double cab model. Almost everything I'm saying about the Tundra also applies even when you're looking at the Tacoma double cab, because the Tundra also eventually comes in a double cab at about the same model year. The Tundra's just a little bit bigger, a little bit nicer, and a little bit roomier at every step. And when you look on the used market, they're about the same price. The premiums that people charge for these tiny V6 trucks is about the same as what people are charging for larger, nicer, equally reliable V8 pickups. The old truck, when I drive it, kind of feels rattly, it feels loose. There's a lot of road noise. The Tundras are not quiet on the road either, but I feel that this truck has more road noise, all things being equal. Quality is there, but it's just not as robust of a pickup. And so while they're equally reliable, the Tundra is much better to drive, in my opinion. It is a better ride. It is a smoother truck. It is a nicer interior. It's a quieter interior. This Tacoma just feels cheaper. It doesn't feel as roomy. It doesn't store as much. It doesn't hold as much. So even if you love these trucks, and I agree, I love these trucks. These are very reliable, very durable pickups, equally reliable drivetrains with slightly smaller, less towing capacity, way less storage, haul less people, tinier bed.
I don't get it. Unless you're like trying to build a rock crawler or something like that, the smallness of the pickup is not really an advantage. They're about the same length, almost identical width. Why go with the Tacoma?
Now we're in my Tundra, which I think feels a little bit roomier. Now these are the first gen Tundra specs, just a little bit wider and a little bit longer than the first gen Tacoma at every step, basically. Not too much bigger, but it is a little bit bigger in every dimension, except the bed length is actually about identical to the Tacoma. So this is how you get in a Tundra. It has 4 doors, kind of. So it's got this side door right here that you can use to get into the back row. Back row's a little roomier. It's actually got real seats, so that's a nice addition to the Tundra. But overall, still not a large pickup. This is more a mid-size in terms of what modern pickups look like, but was a full size at the time. This is about the size of an F-150. Go back to the bed, so you can see dimensions, proportioning very similar. They just added room for that back row to fit in there, and that's basically the only area where the truck gained length. So we'll go back to the bed here and look at that. Open it up. I'm a big fan of camper shells on these if you're going truck camping. So this is my setup. This is my bed. So the bed depth on the Tundra is about the same as the Tacoma. I think it adds about an inch. It's not that much deeper, but it is an appreciable difference. Looking at the tailgate there, you can fit a little bit more. And I believe the cab is also a little bit taller. So when you get a cab height shell, you end up with a slightly overall taller storage area. So that's what the Tundra looks like. I'll walk around it a little bit more here for you to see how it's proportioned and how it sits. Both vehicles are lifted. The Tacoma is actually lifted more than the Tundra in this video. This is only about a 1.5 inch, 2 inch level. The Tundra's on a 3 inch. The Tacoma is on a 3 inch body lift. But this is how my truck looks. This is how it sits. I've only got a few modifications on it. So pretty good comparison to the Tacoma here. So this is the 4.7 liter V8 engine that's in the Tundra. Renowned engine. This is what powers the Land Cruisers. It's very popular and known for its reliability. Quite reliable, quite sturdy, and quite overbuilt, honestly. Here's what the Tundra interior looks like. In my opinion, a little cleaner, a little roomier. Still some black plastic, but it's just this insert, which I think looks a little classier. And just that insert, it's not one piece. These buttons are a little bit easier to reach, a little bit larger buttons. 4-wheel drives, all controlled from right here. We've still got the coin tray, and we've got cup holders, which is sweet. And then these cup holders, which I prefer, I think they're a little bit better. Considerably more storage in the center console here. I can fit 3 people up here or extra stuff. Considerably more storage. You can put a basket here, I've seen people do before. But just as is, I've got 4 cup holders, nothing in the here. Plenty of room for a passenger. And this bench row slides forward and backwards, so I can bias the seating for the rear here. The rear seats are way bigger. Look at that. Little bit of leg room, but you've actually got the full seat, the seat belts. You got cup holders right here. So I've got 6 cup holders just as is. It's way cooler than the Tacoma, and it's nicer. The cloth is nicer. All the interior trim pieces are just nicer. I vastly prefer this interior to the Tacoma. We've got pretty good legroom, I would say. This is, fully extended to the gas pedal. It's similar. So overall, a roomier interior that's just nicer. It looks better. I would rather be in this. Yeah, that's my opinion kind of on the interior. I feel like I notice less road noise and wind noise coming in through the interior of this vehicle than I do the Tacoma. I feel like it's a quieter, nicer drive. I feel like it rides smoother. And listen, the overall experience is just better. This engine is more fun to drive. A little bit wider, a little bit longer, but not by much. I feel like you're not sacrificing any of the upside of the Tacoma by swapping to a Tundra like this. Now, one of the big ultimate selling points to me is that Tundras are usually about as much as Tacomas. If you sort by mileage and model year, you're going to see that a lot of similarly equipped Tundras, 4-wheel drive, access cab versus double cab, are about the same as Tacomas. There's not a huge difference in price. When you're looking on Craigslist, I feel like Marketplace, look on Facebook Marketplace, Tundras are about the same as Tacomas. Man, I'm not spending more to sit in that tiny interior, even if it's got the diff lock and all that. To someone who mostly uses this vehicle as a daily driver and then needs the space for camping and hauling people when it's not being used as a daily driver, I can't really imagine getting a Tacoma. The Tundra is a way more flexible vehicle that will be suited in most use cases more, especially if you're towing. You want the V8, not a 3.4 liter V6. That's a tiny engine. And these are very easy to get with the V8. That's the most common engine in these. If you're a manual transmission enthusiast, you are kind of out of luck, as that only
happens on the V6 models that you can get the manual transmission. But for most people in most use cases, I can't imagine picking a first gen Tacoma over a first gen Tundra. Whether you tow, daily drive, haul, whatever, it's going to be about the same. The miles per gallon are very similar on each vehicle, and I feel like if you can get into a Tundra cheaper than a Tacoma, the Tundra is the obvious answer. That's my video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.